Okay, so if you're a Dachshund owner, you already know they're these brilliant, super loyal, and just hilarious little dogs, right? But you also know they can be, well, let's just say they have a mind of their own. So today we're going to dive right in and tackle the biggest challenge of all. How do you actually train these wonderfully stubborn little guys?
I mean, have you ever found yourself saying this exact sentence out loud? Maybe with just a little bit of desperation in your voice? Yeah, I promise. You are so not alone. It's pretty much the classic dachshund owner dilemma. And there it is. That's the reputation that just follows them everywhere. They're literally famous for it. So if you've been feeling frustrated, just know that you're in good company. But what if I told you stubborn isn't actually the right word at all?
So here's the big secret. It's almost never the dog's fault. You know, most of the time, it's just a few common training mistakes that are getting in the way. And the really good news? They're all totally fixable.
Okay, first up, let's talk about communication. I mean, are you and your dog even speaking the same language? Or are all your best efforts just getting lost in translation? Because this is where a lot of training starts to fall apart. Let's kick things off with a really big one. Mistake number 1. And honestly, this is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. It really all comes down to being consistent. Just think about it from their perspective. If your dog is allowed on the couch on Monday, but then gets yelled at for the exact same thing on Tuesday, what message are you sending? It basically teaches them that rules are just optional suggestions. Dogs they thrive on predictable structure. Your rules have to be clear and consistent every single time. That's the bedrock of good training. All right, on to mistake number 2. And this is one that I think pretty much all of us are guilty of, probably without even realizing we're doing it. Oh, you know you've done this. Come, Fido, come on, come here. When you repeat a command over and over again, you're actually teaching your dog that the first 5 times you say it don't count. The fix? Say it once and say it clearly. Otherwise, they just learn to wait until they hear that 10th repetition, or, that desperate tone in your voice. From your dachshund's point of view, all that repeating just turns into meaningless sound. Seriously, they tune it out, just like we tune out the hum of the refrigerator. The goal is to say it once, nice and clear, and then actually help them do it right. Okay, next up is mistake number 3, and this still fits right under our whole communication theme. This one is all about what happens right after you give a command, and your dog gives you that look and just ignores it. Now, this one can be super subtle. Let's say you tell your dog to come, and they totally ignore you. So what do? You walk over to them and put their leash on. Well, what did they just learn? They learned that ignoring you makes you come to them. You've just accidentally rewarded the exact stubborn behavior you were trying to stop. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the fun part, rewards. And let's be real, Dachshunds are super motivated by a good treat. But for those rewards to actually work, there's one critical detail you absolutely can't miss. And that brings us right to mistake number 4. And trust me, this one is crucial. It's all about the timing of that reward.
So if your dog sits and then you spend like 5 seconds fumbling around in your pocket for a treat, that's an absolute eternity in dog time. By the time you give it to them, they've already looked away or maybe even started to stand up. That reward has to happen the instant they do the right thing. That way they make that crystal clear connection. Oh, when I put my butt on the floor, that's when I get the good stuff. Moving on, we really need to talk about the where and the how long of training. See, the whole vibe of your training session is just as important as what you're actually trying to teach. And this leads us right into mistake number 5, a trap that can completely sabotage your training efforts, letting your sessions drag on for way, way too long. And this chart just illustrates the point perfectly. Look at this. Dachshunds have famously short attention spans. A quick, fun 5-minute session is so much more effective than a dragging, boring 20-minute session where your dog just gets frustrated. You got to keep it short, keep it positive, and always, always end on a success. Now for mistake number 6. This one explains why your Dachshund might be a perfect little angel at home, but turns into a total rebel the second you step into the park. Here's the thing about dogs. They don't generalize very well. Just because your doxie has mastered sit in your quiet living room, that doesn't mean they understand that the word sit means the same thing in the super distracting backyard. You have to practice your commands everywhere, in different rooms, in the garden, on walks, to help them understand the command is universal. All right, we have covered a lot. But this final mistake,
this is the one that really ties everything together. This is the key that's going to unlock how you see your Dachshund. It's the big aha moment.
And here it is, the final and maybe the most important mistake of all. Expecting your Dachshund to act like a golden retriever.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. These dogs were literally bred to go into a dark tunnel all by themselves and make their own life or death decisions while facing off against a badger. That stubbornness, you see, it's not stubbornness. It's bred-in independence. It's bravery. They aren't trying to defy you. Their brains are literally wired to think for themselves. So what's the bottom line here? It doesn't mean they're untrainable, not at all. It just means you need a training approach that respects their intelligence. You have to work with that independent nature, not fight against it. When you get that right, they can be absolutely fantastic, responsive partners. And that's really the big takeaway today. This whole thing isn't about fixing a stubborn dog. It's about becoming a better, clearer communicator for a really smart, independent thinking one. So the question I want to leave you with is this. How are you going to start training for your dog's unique personality instead of against it?